Yo, guys, the people at the top are cheating, and I have proof. Proof. And this is not clickbait. This isn't a conspiracy. This is fact based. And let me get right into the video. Now, of course, before I get into the video, we're going to acknowledge the outfit. Now, this is a very annoying shirt because I'm sitting down, so it looks extremely wrinkly. But if I pull it down, you can see that it's not really that wrinkled. So I'm probably going to move a little bit closer to the camera just so it doesn't piss me off while I'm trying to record for you guys. And, you know, I had an extremely hard time just getting this to stay down today. And I have another black shirt that I could be wearing, but I don't know where it is. I don't know if it's somewhere. I put it somewhere. I honestly just can't find that shirt, but it's okay. Fit is pretty simple, but sleek today. We got a black shirt. I don't even know the material. It feels so good. But it's an annoying wrinkly material. But let's continue. We've got the shade right here. Nice black and silver. We've got the blackish, silverish with a little bit of polka dots and striped pocket square, dark shiny gray suit, black faced watch, black leather as well. You could wear this fit with black pants. You could wear this fit with the matching pants that comes with the suit. And yeah, hey, you might even be bold and wear it with white pants, right? Let's get right into the video. So the people at the top are cheating, right? How I have proof and how I'm gonna basically debunk and show you, not debunk, but basically show you exactly what they're doing, how they're doing it. And I hope you're along for the ride and you watch the entire video through. So let's get right into it. So this isn't clickbait, right? The guys at the top are teaching you one thing, but they are doing another. Now I have my notes that I'm reading on the side if you see my eyes darting to the side, right? So the guys at the top are teaching you one thing, but they're doing another. I realize this with a lot of the gurus out there. I realize this with a lot of the very, very scaled up personal brands, right? I'm not going to name drop anybody, but a lot of the guys with massive personal brands that you probably know of in whatever industry you're in, content industry, agency industry, coaching industry, even in brick and mortar businesses, right? A lot of the people that are educating you, teaching you about the best strategies and this and that, they're always doing something different than what they are teaching you. Why do you think they grow faster than you? Why do you think their businesses last longer than your business? Why do you think that is? Why do you think they get more done than you? Right? And I'm not gonna keep it philosophical and this and that. No. I'm gonna be sharing you hard evidence, right? So a lot of times as well, they are telling you to be balanced, right? When they weren't balanced on their way to the top, right? So one of the things I've heard a lot recently too is that the people at the top, sometimes their advice sucks, right? Because it's about work-life balance, it's about this and that. And when they were on their way to the top, they weren't living a balanced life. Even the guys that are at the top now, they're not living a balanced life. It may be balanced for them, but to the average person, it's not balanced, right? So that's one thing. I've got a couple more. So they tell you to be balanced, but they aren't very balanced, right? They are also taking performance enhancers and focus supplements. Now, some people it might be hardcore, and some people it might be medical, and some people it might not even be legal, right? So there's even like it's crazy, right? When you actually dive into the rabbit hole of why some of these guys are able to stay focused for so long, are able to get so much more done than you. Now, yeah, you could argue that it's discipline, you could argue this and that, right? This isn't a conspiracy. Like a lot of them tell you the types of supplements that they take that helps their brain focus longer, that helps them stay sharp. And even some of them are on a million cups of coffee per day, right? Like even me, I have a little bit of coffee left. It's 8 p.m. and I know I'm not going to be going to sleep tonight, so drinking away, right? And their diets, right? They have a diet that keeps them focused for long hours at a time. Now, all this stuff, I'm going to be diving into it and studying it more and more so that I can share the facts with you guys. But I have a couple more on my list to keep reading for you guys, right? They have a diet that keeps them focused for long hours at a time. They know exactly what to eat that's going to keep their brain functioning and running for long hours at a time. They are learning and implementing at faster speeds than you. So a lot of times they learn what is the most efficient way to learn. What is the fastest way to learn? What is the fastest way to learn, digest, and implement something? Right now, some of you might be saying, oh, well, that's just something, that's just a skill. No, there are ways to listen to things faster, to watch a video faster. I'm sure you guys know how to do these things, but you're not doing it in a way that's helping you retain the information so that you can regurgitate the information and also implement the information, right? Like you're just probably watching something at 2x speed or listening at 2x speed, but it's not benefiting you. You're just, okay, next video, right? So why am I telling you this stuff? And some of you might feel like it's clickbait and this and that. Some of you, maybe I opened up your mind a little bit about what some of these guys are doing. I'm going to keep talking and go more in depth, right? So you really want to study the greats so that you can become greater, right? And you really need to become a scientist at this stuff. You might be asking, well, why do I know this? Where's the proof, right? How did I learn about some of this stuff? So I'm someone who likes to binge successful people's podcasts, right? So by successful people, I mean successful people who've made it and are now telling their story, right? I've studied a lot of different people in a lot of different fields. And, when you truly listen and truly dissect their stories, you realize that a lot of what they are telling people to do now is not what they did on their way up. And I completely respect it, because you now that you've made it to the top, you realize like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have been working all those long hours, skipping all those nights that I could have been partying and this and that and blah, 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 blah. Right? Like, think about this. This is an extremely nice outfit that I could go to a nightclub with or a fancy dinner with, right? But let's continue the video. This is really, really getting on my nerves. And, the more you study the greats and the more you study them, you realize that it takes a certain level of insanity, right? Like, you have to be extremely cold and extremely calculating with every move you make. How did they get that way? Well, they learned it, and they also studied the greats before them, right? They studied and it's not just your industry. You need to study war. You need to study psychological warfare. You need to study what it took to build a city, what it took to build an empire. You need to start really, really studying and dissecting these stories and finding the truth in these stories, right? It's not just about what they tell you happened, right? Because history isn't written by the good people. It's written by the winner. The winners are not always the good people, right? So when you study these wars and you learn both sides of the wars, right? Like there was I forget I forget who I was just listening to this, but what they did is they changed the diet of their enemy, and they got them to start eating less protein and less meat, what some people might call the vegan diet. And guess what? It allowed them to conquer their enemy, because slowly over time they changed their diet. They taught them new things and blah 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 blah, right? And guess what? When it came to battle time, who won? The ones who played psychological warfare, who changed their diet. Like, you got to realize some of these guys are willing to do whatever it takes to win, to have victory over you. They're learning faster than you and implementing faster than you. And some of them are willing to do cold, very cold tactics to win their side of the deal. Right? So it's one of those things where, you realize that you have to do whatever it takes to get to your goal. You have to do whatever it takes to win. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to start doing what these guys are doing. I might do it at a different level. Like right now, I'm waking up at 2 a.m. I'm not saying you should wake up at 2 a.m., but I'm waking up at 2 a.m. Some nights I'm not sleeping, where I'm starting to do this thing where if I'm not tired, I'm not going to sleep at the time that I want to go to sleep. So right now it's 8 p.m. I'm supposed to be sleeping, but I'm not tired at all. So I got my cup of coffee here as well that I'm going to be drinking. So I know that tomorrow night, I have to sleep tomorrow night at this time so that my body is tired by that time, right? And even at the gym, some of these guys are doing crazier workouts than you because they know the benefits of those workouts, right? Like I'm more focused on aesthetics and being functional, right? Functionable, right? Like I'm able to run, jog, sprint, reach, stretch, all that stuff. If I'm not able to do that, why am I in the gym? I'm not just trying to get big, right? Because I understand that those guys at the top, they're stressed all the time. So their body needs to be able to keep up with the stress. Their mind needs to be able to handle that level of stress and pressure constantly, day in and day out, right? And it builds a self-belief and confidence in yourself when you realize that a lot of these guys have been laughed at, right? Like when you really truly want to build something great, no matter what it is, right? Understand that the whole world will be against you and tease you. A lot of these guys who did something great that are still alive today, they were laughed at. I cannot tell you guys how many people have laughed in my face when I told them about my plans and my dreams and my goals, right? And I know that 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, who's going to be laughing? Me or them? And what am I going to be laughing about? Am I going to be laughing about the fact that maybe they are still where they were? Or maybe it's just me laughing about something completely different, right? And this might not be the direction that you thought this video was going to head in, but you got to realize that you need to truly, truly believe in yourself and smile when they tease you. Smile when they make fun of you. Smile when they think they've got one over on you. Smile when they think they're better than you, right? Because again, a lot of times they're right. Don't get me wrong. They're right. You haven't made it yet, so therefore they are correct. But when you do make it, eventually, they are no longer correct. Their statements no longer matter. And so it's being able to embrace adversity and keep going through the fire, walk through the fire every single day, right? And you need to truly believe in yourself no matter what happens, and never, ever, ever be satisfied. Never be satisfied, right? And so you got to realize that some of these guys that are absolutely reached the upper, let's say, echelons of success, right? You got to realize that they've all been laughed at, right? You know, let's say the Wright brothers, Henry Ford, Walt Disney. Some of these names, you might know them, you might not know them. Look them up. They've all been laughed at. Some of them didn't graduate high school. Some people didn't go to college, and they still amassed massive amounts of success, right? And so and this is something from my current business partner slash client, right? The one thing he always says and one thing he always talks about, right? You need to be stubborn with your goals, but you also need to be malleable in how you get to them, right? So you need to be extremely stubborn with your goals, but you're malleable in how you get there. You're shifting when you need to shift. You're adjusting when you need to adjust, right? Very few people understand that, right? They let other people tweak their goals. They let other people change their goals. Now, sure, your vision might change a little bit. It might lean to the side a little bit, but very few people understand that you need to be extremely, extremely stubborn with the things that you want, because other people will get in your way. Other people will try to change your mind. Other people will try to change your goals. Other people will try to change your vision, your mission, what you feel you must do. And so you need to be extremely stubborn, arrogant, some people might say, right? But you do need to shift and be malleable in how you get to those goals. You need to be able to constantly adjust the tactic, right? The strategy may remain the same, but tactically how you get there, tactically how you move forward, that does need to change. That does need to be adjusted on a frequent, consistent basis. Very few people are able to do that. Very few people understand how to do that and what it takes to really do that, right? Because understand that nobody really owes you. Like my video the other day, right? Nobody owes you. But that is why it's in your best interest to level up and get to the next level and truly, truly get to where you want to be, right? It's kind of like being the CEO of a business, right? Like you need to understand that you have to hold yourself accountable at every stage. And you also need to be able to hold your company and your team members accountable at every stage, right? Like you're the chief of that stuff. You're in charge. And so you need to make sure that everybody's doing their part, because very few people truly understand what it takes to be the leader, right? What it takes to be the business owner, right? What it takes to be the one who has to stay up and work longer hours because they didn't do their job. They didn't do their task, right? So now you have to complete it, right? And so it's one of those things where if they aren't able to do their part, you got to be bold enough to fire them, and then you got to be able to do their task, right? That's why I forget who said this, but before you hire some people, you need to make sure that you understand exactly what you want them to do, because that's how you're going to hold them accountable to the task that you are hiring them for, right? And so these guys at the top, they understand this stuff. That's how they are able to play psychological warfare. A lot of them are able to, they study these stuff, right? They study this, how to attack somebody subconsciously. They study all these different things so that they can win the negotiations, so that they can work and be productive for long hours at a time. Very few people understand the types of, the level of risk some of these guys are willing to take with their health just to be at the top and get to the next level, right? The extra mile they're willing to run regardless of what is going to happen, right? Like if they told them, yo, you're probably going to break your leg if you run another mile, but if they want to win, some of them are going to take that risk, even if it means that they have to be in the hospital right after they win, right? Because that's what they're willing to do. They've built that mental like fortress of, I'm gonna win regardless of what it takes to win. I'm gonna do what it takes to be at the top, right? And so this goes back to them teaching you one thing while they're doing something completely different, right? So as I'm dissecting a lot of these other guys' personal brands, as I'm dissecting their strategies and dissecting exactly what they're doing, I'm realizing that what they're teaching is not what they're doing. And I've realized it for quite a few of the different coaching programs and courses that I purchased as well, right? What they are currently doing, what is giving them the results that they have, is not entirely what they are teaching you. They might teach you a little bit here and there, but when you truly dissect exactly what they're doing, the results that they're getting, you realize they don't tell you the whole thing. And a lot of times it's because they don't realize that they are playing at a different game at a different level. Some of them do realize that, and they understand that they cannot tell you, because not only is it going to increase competition, but it's also going to make it harder for their strategy to properly work the way that it's working, or for it to be working so well, right? And so it's understanding that you must do whatever it takes to win, regardless of how you feel, regardless of where you are currently, right? And I said this in an Instagram video earlier, right? My goals have not changed. My vision hasn't changed. My mission hasn't changed. Now, the way I'm playing the game to get to the end goal, that has changed a little bit, right? Different team members, but it's the same line. It's the same direction. But I had to tweak a little bit. I had to master some skills. I had to take a little bit of time to build my skills even more so that I can become the guy that's able to handle the pressure and the stress to get to that next level, to get to that next step, to climb the next step on the staircase, right? Because it's a massive staircase, to grab the next bar of the ladder, right? So when it comes to, like just playing the game of life and moving one piece at a time on the chessboard, you got to realize that it's extremely difficult to keep up. But when you know in your heart that you must absolutely get to this goal, and you get extremely emotional about your goals, then you start to do whatever it takes to win. Then you start to implement what you need to implement to get to the next level. And if that means you need to sleep less, you're going to sleep less. If it means you need to change your diet completely and eat things you don't even want to eat, bland food, you're probably going to do it, right? And if it means that you need to strictly drink one thing for the rest of your life, which is probably going to be water, you're going to do that. If it means drinking 4, 5, 6, 7, 20 cups of coffee a day, you're probably going to do that, right? If it means eating one meal a day so that you're always sharp and whatever, you're probably going to do it. And so it's understanding yourself, understanding your body, understanding your mind, understanding what slows you down, what speeds you up, and then not even accelerating, but maximizing it, maximizing the steps that you're taking, maximizing the amount of effort you're able to put in. So if you're productive for 4 hours at a time, how can you be productive for longer? Is it what you're eating? Study. This is why it's so important to be aware of your body, to be aware of your mind. What slows you down? What distracts you? What keeps you from completing tasks, right? The more you understand that stuff, the more you can do research into how to not only fix, but improve, right? Like these guys at the top, they're taking the performance enhancers. They've probably done a lot of research to make sure that it's not going to harm them in any way. And some of them, if it is going to harm them, they're still willing to do it because they know it's going to give them that edge. They know it's going to give them a different advantage that you don't have. You don't know that they're adding something to the coffee that they're drinking. You don't know that. And so when you see that they're able to just work hours at a time, it leaves you, man, like, how is this guy? He's always going 100 miles an hour every single day. How? What is he doing? He is doing something different, but he's also taking the time to build that mental resilience, to build that fortress of, yo, this is my goal and I need to get this done by the end of the day. And no matter what happens, I'm getting that goal done by the end of the day. Very few people are able to do that. But the more you learn how to just work longer and work harder, and what is it going to take? Is it changing your diet? Is it changing your fitness? Is it changing, what you're eating, what you're drinking? And then doing it regardless of how you feel every single day, day in and out. The more you can do that, the more you're okay doing that, the faster you're going to see improvements, the faster you're going to move closer to your goals. Now, I understand that the way I started off this video, it might be completely different than the momentum that I have now, right? Like, it's one of those things where I realize I get into flow state, right? The longer my videos are, the faster I can tap into the slow state, to the flow state, right? And obviously it doesn't happen every single video, but right now it's happening. And the way the flow state is like you just get into a groove where you can keep talking and you can keep going and you can keep working, right? So I'm starting to understand what gets me into that flow state where I can just keep going and going and going, whether it's fitness or whether it's me sitting at my desk and working, whether it's me outside and thinking and just speaking to myself. Like I'm having a much better grasp and understanding of what allows me to just be more productive, and not productive as in, oh, I'm getting more done, but productive as in I'm moving forward. I'm moving in the right direction. The business is moving forward. My finances are moving forward. My mindset is moving forward. My physique is moving forward. My physique is on point. My body is functional. I'm able to stretch. I'm able to run faster. I'm able to run longer, right? And so it's doing those things to ensure that you get to the next level. And again, like, the amount of belief you have in yourself, the amount of confidence you have in yourself is what is the most important. And your confidence is built when you achieve things, when you earn things, right? When once your body's on point, you will have a different level of confidence. Now, it might not be, let's say, approaching a girl, right? Because some guys, even though they have a good physique, they're still afraid of girls. But when it comes to your work, when it comes to other things that you do, you will have a little bit more confidence. And when you start to achieve things one thing at a time, and it's also going to be dependent on what you classify as an achievement, right? Because what could be an achievement for me might not be an achievement for you. And so the more you realize that, the more you're going to just start to get things that you want and achieve the things that you classify as an achievement, right? So maybe it's getting 10 subscribers, 100 subscribers, 1,000 subscribers, and then working hard to get there. Maybe it's getting $10 from a client. Maybe it's charging your first client, $1,000. Maybe it's charging your first $10,000. Maybe it's charging your first $100,000, right? Like, I know that one of my plans is that for whatever it is that I'm offering, I'm able to charge $100,000 for it. I'm able to charge $1 million for it, whatever it may be in the future, right? But how do I get there? Well, one, I have to have the skills. Two, I have to have done the work and have evidence that I know what I'm talking about. And three, my status, right? My network. All that comes into play when you're charging a client, right? So very few people realize that it's not just about what you can do at this immediate time that allows you to charge a client, right? Like, when I closed my $35,000 contract last year, that wasn't just on what I'm able to do for the client. It's my understanding of how to grow the client's business and my network, who I can tap into my network that's going to allow me to deliver and over deliver for the client. And even now with my current client, I'm tapping into my network as much as possible so that I know I do an effective job and get to the goals, right? And so it's me willing to do whatever it takes to get to the next level, but also willing to put my body through torture at the gym so that my mind is always fresh and my mind is always on point and my mind is always able to do what I needed to do and think for longer hours and work for longer hours and last longer, right? So all these things play an extremely important role. And the more you understand that, the sooner you just grasp that concept and start really like dissecting your body and understanding exactly what makes you aware, what allows you to function at top speed, like you're able to go 100 miles an hour. The more you can understand that, the more you can fathom that, the better it's going to be for you, right? And so one thing I'm working on now is making sure that my videos, I can start stronger, I can start better. But I also understand that this flow state doesn't hit until like 5, 10, 15 even minutes, right? So I have to get to that benchmark. So then now it's understanding how can I get to that benchmark faster, so that it's not only the people who stay in this video for this long that are able to get to this point of the video, right? And so it's one of the things that me dropping a daily video is allowing me to learn, right? And so it goes back to your goals, right? You need to be extremely stubborn with your goals. You need to be extremely emotional about your goals, right? Even when people laugh, you need to be able to smile, right? Some people can't smile. Some people get angry, and that's okay. But if you can't defend your goals or be stubborn enough to keep going regardless of what happens, what's the point of having those goals, right? Like back in 2021, January, February, March, April, I started to lay the foundations of exactly what I want to happen over the next couple of years. Now, have I added on to that? Of course, for sure. Last year is when I even made it even more bolstered, where I was like, yo, okay, I know these are the goals and I know these are the steps I need to take. How can I go into even more detail on what needs to happen at every stage? And the more I do that, the more clear the entire vision becomes, right? And the more clear the path to that vision becomes, right? Very few people are able to do that. But the more you teach yourself how to do that, the more you practice and practice and practice on how to do that, the easier it's going to be to get to those goals, right? And so it goes back to being the CEO of your business, but you got to be the CEO of your life as well. Who is controlling your time? How are you letting other people control your time? How much access do people have to you? How are you valuing your time? When you have your time to yourself, what are you doing? Are you wasting it? Or are you investing it in yourself? Like, and what I mean by investing it in yourself, are you learning? Are you constantly educating yourself on new things? Are you constantly learning about yourself? Because believe it or not, entrepreneurship, I've heard this quite a few times. It's self-discovery, because you have to become somebody different in order to get to the next level at every stage. You have to. If you're not able to do that, of course you're not going to get to the next level. Very few people realize that the person that you were that got you to B, so going from A to B, that's not the same person that's going to take you from B to C. And that's not the same person that's going to take you from C to D. Same thing. The person you were that made your first $1,000 online is not going to be the same person that makes the first $10,000. It's not going to be the same person that makes your first 100,000, and you're definitely not going to be the same person to make your first million, and then 10, and then 100, and then billion. So it's one of those things where you need to truly understand yourself and practice self-mastery, and really practice and understand that, okay, at every stage you need to reevaluate and reassess who you are. What skills are you lacking? And who do you need alongside you? Who do you need to bring on or kick out in order to get to that next level in your business? And then in your life, who do you need to have around and not have around that's going to allow you to get to the next level mentally, and then next level physically, and then of course next level financially, right? So it's very few, like, think about this. A majority of the millionaires now that we see, at least, they look on point. Their speech is on point. Their status is on point. They have everything that they need to have for that level of success that they currently have, right? Like, think about this. In the past, most people, when you think about a millionaire or even a billionaire, they're not somebody you would think is in shape. You're probably thinking they're old, and you're thinking that they're fat and probably out of shape, and they're just sitting in a chair, right? That's how a lot of movies depicted those guys. But when you look at it now, you look at the landscape now, the marketplace now, there's a lot of young millionaires. Now, can some of them be faking it? Of course. But the ones that aren't faking it, that have hardcore evidence that they are who they say they are, guess what? They're not playing the same game. They understood what the ones before them did. They studied war. They studied the exact strategies that those guys that made it to that point did. So now they can surpass them, right? That's why you have to study the greats in order to go past the greats and become greater, right? Like, you think Kobe didn't study Jordan? You think LeBron didn't study Kobe and Jordan? You don't think Messi and Ronaldo look at each other? If you like, even if they act like they don't, you don't think they pay attention to each other and study what each other is doing, what each other has achieved? You don't think McGregor studied Floyd, Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali? You don't think they studied those guys in order to be who they are now, in order to achieve what they've achieved? And so the more you can study the greats and the guys that are currently great right now that you're seeing on social media, that's the biggest benefit of social media. You can study and dissect what your competitors are doing. Now, you may not know the exact strategy because they don't share, but if you truly pay attention to the moves that they make, you'll start to catch on. You'll start to understand that, oh, it's the way he's speaking. Oh, he has a format in every video. Oh, his thumbnails are like this. Oh, he has so many different accounts. Oh, he has different playlists that are acting as a funnel. Oh, he's prioritizing this platform. Why? Why does he prioritize this platform? What is the advantage of prioritizing this platform? Oh, he's gamifying these platforms. Oh, he's gamifying the entire system in his business. You start to pick up on these different things when you watch their stuff and consume their stuff, right? So I know, like, oh, don't be a consumer, but you do have to consume, and you do need to consume. That's how you learn. That's how you understand what your competitors are doing. That's how you understand where to beat them, how to beat them, what gives you a competitive edge so that you get further than them. You become bigger than them. You're able to go faster than them. You're able to be stronger than them. Very few people are able to do that. And so it's one of those things where the more you dissect your opponents, and trust me, every single one of them are your opponents, because those at the top, they're making sure that they always have an advantage, always have more leverage. That's why in one of my videos, I stated that, I'm starting to say it in more videos now. You need to always be relentlessly enhancing your authority and leverage, whether it's for your business, whether it's amongst your competitors, whether it's amongst your coworkers, your teammates, right? Why do you think some people get invited to things and others don't? It's because they have some level of authority and leverage that you don't have. They might know something about that person, and so they have to get invited because that person probably doesn't want them to tell people what they know about that person. Maybe they did something in secret, and now this guy found out. So now, because he doesn't want this guy to tell the secret, now he has to get it. He's like, yo, bro, you know what? No problem. Just pay me a little more and I'll keep your secret. Right? Think about that. So some people are willing to go that low in order to get an edge, in order to get an advantage. I'm not saying you need to do that, but it's just like the guys that take the performance enhancers, that are making sure that the type of coffee they're drinking is coming from a certain country, is being grown a certain way. The guys that's making sure that the steak that he's eating is coming from a certain animal, coming from a certain way. The animal was grown a certain way, so that they know that what they're eating, they're getting the maximum benefits, right? It's the more you're able to truly dissect what these guys are doing, how they're really playing the game at a different level than you, right? Like some of them, they don't even hire another marketing agency, or they don't even hire a social media agency. They build their own team in-house with a completely different strategy than what they are telling you in order to grow, right? You might think, oh, this guy's just, like his stuff is on point. Why is it on point? What is happening that's allowing his stuff to be on point? Why are his videos getting so many views and yours aren't? Is it because the algorithm is favoring him? Okay, well, why is the algorithm favoring him? Is it the content? Is it the type of content? Is it how he's speaking? Is it what he's putting in the videos? Is it the type of editing? Is it the way he's speaking? Is it what he's saying? Is it what he's showcasing on screen? Is it the topics, right? Is it the sentence? Is it a broad topic? Is it a specific topic? Is it a popular topic? Is it a not so popular topic? Is it controversial? Is it not controversial? Right? And so the more questions you ask, and I always say this, the most successful people, they know how to ask the right questions, and to who. It's just like the guy I met out in Vegas. I was asking him the right questions, and he was feeding me like lifelong valuable answers, right? And so that's one of the reasons why I tell you, like, the more you can get around people that are more successful than you, older than you, more experienced than you, the better it's going to be for you long term. Even though it might take, like, think about this. It took them, let's say that guy, he was 53. So me asking him the right questions gave me shortcuts of his lessons that he learned throughout his 53 years, right? I'm 22. So imagine the amount of value that he's given me and the amount of potential mistakes that I could be making that I won't be making because he's able to give me that feedback, because I was able to ask him the right questions to get that level of feedback from him. And even, to hire him, he said, yo, bro, it's $10,000 an hour. He didn't say it like that, but he said it's $10,000 an hour to work with him. I'm willing to pay that, right? You may not be, but I'm willing to do it because I understand that he's at a completely different level. The dude he was telling me he had 58 different streams of income. Now, obviously, you don't start with 58 streams of income. And some of you are probably like, oh, I need multiple streams of income. No, make sure that you're building one solid stream of income first before you diversify and start to do other things. That's when it makes sense. But he has 58 different streams of income. Maybe he has more now. He also has 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, 500,000. And I'm not going to tell you his channel, but if you look up this one word, it's these two different words. Like, you search it once and then you search the other one. It's mainly his videos that are popping up because he understood that long-term game. And he had his YouTube channel for 8 years. Now, some people in a different industry, for 8 years, they might have way more subscribers. But in his industry, he's number one, even though it's 500,000, right? Like 500,000. But he gets millions and billions of views every single month. Why? Because he played a long-term game. Very, very few people understand that you have to play a long-term game. Even if your stuff doesn't look as sharp as everybody's, even if your stuff isn't as efficient as everybody's, you need to constantly be leveling it up, right? Like, my content now, the way I speak in my content now is entirely different than when I started speaking back in 2021, when I started my YouTube channel back in 2022, right? Like, I've had my YouTube channel since 2015, but I never uploaded, right? And if I did upload, I would delete them. And even when I started my YouTube channel back in I didn't start in 2022. Did I? 2022. Yeah, I did start in 2022. So I've deleted a lot of videos that I uploaded. So I also understand that that might have hurt my channel at the time. And even with my TikTok, I had almost, if not more than 500 different TikTok videos at one point. And I had almost 1 million likes on the platform. But I also took the risk and deleted a lot of videos. I could have privated them, but I chose to delete them. So I lost a lot of likes, and that impacted the algorithm and how it treated my content and how it treated my profile. But that's a consequence, and that's something I was willing to do, right? And now, even for my client, I've come up with an entirely different content marketing strategy for him based on what I noticed that the guys that are at the top are doing, that they're not sharing. They are not sharing these strategies at all. And so they're probably sharing it with their inner circle, 100% with their inner circle. But now I know what to do for myself. I know what to do for my client to take his content and marketing efforts and reach to the next level. And guess what? Once it's working for my client, what am I going to do? I'm going to implement it for myself. Maybe I already started implementing it for myself, right? Because again, it's a long-term game. Now, some of you might be asking, well, what is it? Are you going to share it? Maybe when it's working, I'll share it. But I know what they're doing. I see what they're doing. I paid attention. A lot of you don't truly pay attention. You're just consuming. You're not paying attention to what they're saying, how they're saying it, why they're saying it, why their videos are a certain length, right? And if you've made it this far into the video, awesome. Thank you. Because very few people are willing to last this long and sit down and truly watch and dissect an entire, not just YouTube video, maybe a whole podcast, maybe a seminar, right? There's countless long YouTube videos that I've consumed 4 or 5 hours long because I understood there's something that I was going to get from that video. There's a certain lesson that I was going to get from that video. So I'm not going to prioritize making short videos. I will make them here and there, but the strategy is remain the same. The tactics of how I'm getting to the end result, those change. Those definitely change. But what matters is getting to the goal, regardless, right? Regardless of how long it takes to get to the goal, right? You want to get rich regardless. You don't want to just you know, get rich once and then lose it. You want to get rich regardless, right? Like the guy I met in Vegas, he lost it 4 times. He lost it all 4 times. And he almost took his life the last time he lost it. Because think about that. It's extremely hard to lose it even once. For any of you, if you watch the show Snowfall, you know, Franklin Saint, 70 million was taken out of his account that he had to work hard for years to build that money. Years of structuring teams, you know, life and death situations. And then in the blink of an eye, boom, the money's taken from his account. Lost it all. And at one point, he was like, wait. So you're telling me I'm not broke? I'm in debt? Think about that. That money is taken out of your account. It will make you go crazy. You will tweak. You will just do things that you shouldn't do, trying to cope or even get the money back. And, you know, for those of you that, I'm not going to spoil it for anybody who wants to watch that show. Solid show. 10 episodes a season, I think. Five, six seasons. Right? Another great show. Like, I'm someone who likes crime and business shows, right? The reason is I watch them not only for the entertainment factor, but for the lessons that I know are inside. Because a show isn't just good. It's, you get, like, my brain is at a point where I dissect literally everything I watch. No matter how much I enjoy it, no matter, like, I watch a show and I'm seeing the business lessons. I'm seeing the mindset lessons. I'm seeing the, you know, the production value. I'm seeing the storytelling. I'm seeing the, you know, the scripting, how it's well done so that you're entertained through and through. Why you love certain characters, why you hate certain characters, how good of a job the actors are doing, right? All that comes into play. But most of you, you're probably just watching a show just for the entertainment factor. You're probably watching, you know, whatever you're watching just for the entertainment factor. Even video games, like, whenever I played them, I would always like, yo, like, damn, like, this is a really quality game, right? The entertainment piece is there. Very few people pay attention to that stuff. But when you do pay attention to that stuff, that's how you jump leaps and bounds over your competitors. That's how you get to the next level. That's how you go faster and faster. That's how you go harder. That's why they can't keep up with you. It's like, you look at the sports world. Messi and Ronaldo, for 15 years, do you know what they sacrificed in order to remain at the top? That their competitors are not willing to sacrifice? Same with Jordan and Kobe. Do you know what they had to sacrifice in order to stay and be at the top? Like, don't get me wrong. You could be a one-season wonder. You could get to the top. But staying there is what's difficult. Is what's hard to do for a lot of people. You can't stay at the top for 15 years unless you're doing something different. Unless you're hiring the right coaches. Think about this. I think his name is Tim Grover. So the book is called Relentless, right? Let me pull it up so that I can make sure I'm saying everything correctly. So the book, and you can find the book on Audible. So it's Relentless, and he also dropped another book called Winning. So I think it's Tim S. Grover. Let me find it. So Relentless audiobooks. Yeah, Winning. Relentless and Winning. So those are two great books by Tim, Tims, period, and then Grover, Grover, right? So he wrote these two books. And in Relentless, it was about him training Michael Jordan for Michael Jordan to be Michael Jordan, right? And so Jordan was paying him the amount of money that Jordan was paying him so that he wouldn't work with anybody else, right? Like Jordan said, I'm not paying you to work with other people. I'm paying you so that you don't work with anybody else, because he understood that this guy was a cheat code for him. This guy allowed him to always be at a different level than everybody on the team, than everybody else on the court when it came down to game time, right? Like athletes, they're willing to invest in coaches for every area of their lives. And this is a lesson I learned from JT Fox. Athletes invest in every area of their lives. As a CEO, as a business owner, you need to see your life as an athlete. Once the money is coming in, you need to constantly be investing in every area of your life. in order to get to the next level, right? So JT Fox, I think at that point in time in his life, right, he was 42. I believe 42 in when I went to his event in 2021. He might have been a little bit older, but he said at the time he had 4 primary coaches that he listened to. And these were the guys that were in his corner that he would call when he needed them or text when he needed them so that they can hop on a call. And how did he get them? He didn't just, oh, can you be my coach? Not everybody wants to be your coach. But hey, here's a blank check. How much is it going to take to work with you or learn from you? And some of them would say, I don't want the money, right? Because a lot of his coaches are billionaires. So he said, this one guy said, I don't want the money. Just send X, Y, and Z to a charity, right? And show me proof that you sent it, right? Or he would fly them out to meet with them. He would pay for the whole trip. He would take them out to dinner and pay for the whole dinner. And it wouldn't be a cheap dinner. He might take out their whole family, right? So it's what are you willing to do to get closer to people to get to your goals, right? So he wants to be a billionaire, and he's probably on his way there. This dude owns over 75 different businesses, companies, right? So he's making the plays that are necessary to get to his goals. How much he said, I think at the time, he was trying to get, if not The Rock or Will Smith, to his event. And he said it would cost $4 million alone to get The Rock to come to his event. And he said he couldn't afford it at the time. It was just too much money to spend on one person. But he ended up spending $4 million on one event to host the event, right? So imagine spending another $4 million to bring just one guest when he already had to pay a bunch of other guests to be there. So what are you willing to do to make sure that your stuff beats everybody else's stuff? Your events beat everybody else's events, right? Like you might see, let's say Patrick Bet-David is hosting an event. Russell Brunson is hosting events. Grant Cardone is hosting events. What's this guy? Tony Robbins is hosting events, right? But what is differentiating their events? What are they doing? Tony Robbins, we could say he's the one who was an absolute leader and who completely changed the personal development industry. You don't think this dude is doing something completely different than everybody else? Why do you think he was able to last so long? Why do you think he was able to get to that next level? Because he understood. He had to hire. All these guys understand they need to have different coaches for every area of their lives. Fitness, mentally, relationship-wise, financially, business-wise, right? You don't even understand the level of money these guys are spending to make sure that they stay at the top of their game at every single point, at every single angle. Even the athletes, the entertainers, they're spending money to make sure that they stay at the top of their game. Why do you think so many, let's say basketball, right? I saw this Twitter thread recently, not even recently, but maybe a couple months ago, maybe last month, 2 months, 3 months ago, I don't remember when. But it was an argument that was being had about why the NBA is dying. And one of the points that somebody made was they're just paying the youth too much money. And they're signing terrible contracts. So when you, a lot of people say this, right? And a lot of men truly understand this. When you give a young man a lot of money at a young age, it becomes very hard, unless he has the right people around him. It becomes very hard for him to stay focused on his goals because everything else becomes easier because he didn't have to truly work that hard. Think about the types of contracts that, let's say, Messi and Ronaldo were getting when they were young, right? When they were just getting started. Now, you might say, oh, that money was more money compared to other people back then, but it wasn't the way it is now. Now, sure, the sport is bringing in a lot of money and inflation is coming into play, but those guys had a different driver. It wasn't just about the money for them too. But a lot of younger athletes nowadays, it is just about the money, right? It is just earning more money. Now, some of them, they might play better so that they can earn more money. But the other guys, it's about the glory. It's about being the best. It's about achieving the things that nobody else has achieved, right? It's about completing the sport, right? Whatever you want to call it. But maybe for them in their heads, it's a completely different game. It's a completely different goal, completely different mission, a completely different vision, right? Even looking at, let's say, Messi and Ronaldo, or even you look at Jordan. Why is he, let's say, a killer in the court and outside the court? He's retired now, but Why is he still after success? Tom Brady. Why did Tom Brady get 7 rings? I think, or 8 rings, however many rings he got, or Super Bowls, whatever, I forget, right? I'm not trying to be, disrespectful to his achievements, but I don't really pay too much attention to American football. And why do you think he did that? You think it's, like, even some people, he destroyed his relationship and blah, blah, blah. It wasn't just him, but some people were like, bro, he didn't need 7 rings or 8, whatever it is. He didn't need it. But he understood that he had to make it harder for whoever was next, whoever was in second place, to catch up. When do you think the next Tom Brady is going to be? They're going to always, even if somebody surpasses him, they're always going to say Tom Brady did it first, right? That's always going to be something that's there. So it's one of those things where you got to understand that some of these guys, it's not just about the money. It's not just about the next trophy. There's a bigger vision. There's a bigger mission. There's a bigger target that needs to be hit so that nobody else can get even close to them, so that nobody else can surpass them, so that nobody else can even come close to achieving the things that they achieve. You think anybody will ever attain what Messi and Ronaldo have attained, right? Let's just keep it in the sports world so you guys can get a easier picture. And if somebody else does get close, do you know how much harder it's going to be for them to get close? Like, Ronaldo's already done and retired, so he can't catch up to Messi anymore, right? So imagine the youngsters now that we thought were going to compete at their levels. Yet when Messi was some of their age, even Ronaldo, when Ronaldo was their age, the things that they've already accomplished is nowhere near what those guys that most people are claiming is amazing now are achieving. The type of, those guys saw different generations and different phases of the sport from when they started. And they adapted at every stage, at every game, at every, level. They were able to adapt and stay at the top of their game and keep winning and keep pushing and keep striving forward and keep just staying at the top of their level. And guess what? I think Ronaldo has a sleeping coach that helps him. It wasn't just him, but I know a lot of different athletes have this. I like, when I heard about this, like, I didn't even know a sleep coach was a thing, right? Like, they're there to make sure that you're getting the right amount of sleep. Some of these guys, their sleep schedule is completely different. They sleep 3-hour intervals. Think about this. You sleep for 3 hours, you wake up, you do what you got to do, you sleep for another 3 hours, you wake up, you do what you got to do, you sleep for... They take 3-hour sleeping intervals. I think Albert Einstein did something similar, where he would sleep for 3 to 4 hours, wake up, do work, and then for 8 hours or something like that, or another 3-4 hours, go to sleep, take a nap, whatever, however you want to call it. So think about this. They don't even have regular sleeping schedules so that they can stay at top shape. Look at The Rock. You think he's just staying looking like that for years on end, and he's not doing something different that everybody else is doing? Think about that. And I'm not saying it's illegal what he's doing. Like, we know he's probably on TRT or something, right? And we know that he's definitely taking different supplements that's allowing him to stay focused and work hard for long periods of time. I mean, I'm pretty sure these guys, they go for plenty of sleepless nights. I'm pretty sure sometimes they've probably been up for 48, 72 hours straight, right? So they have the right people around them that's allowing them to be able to do those things. That's allowing them to stay and play at a different level than everybody else in their industry, than everybody else in their space, in their ecosystem, in their network. And so you have to wonder, why aren't you doing whatever it takes to get to the next level? Do your goals matter to you at all? Are they that important? Are they not that important to you that you're willing to do whatever it takes to win? I'm not telling you to go and do, drugs or take hard drugs or do supplements or anything like that. Start small. Start changing up your diet. Study what it's going to take to keep your brain sharp at all hours of the time. And don't just take one researcher's opinion. Watch countless different YouTube videos. Watch and read different articles. Truly understand the benefits. And then maybe you'll get to a point where you're able to hire scientists to develop something for you, to invest into a certain research company so that they can research what you want them to research so that you can keep your mind at top level. And I still got to finish listening to this audiobook, which was which was winning. I didn't even start it. I either started it and finished it, or I didn't even start winning, because I was listening to an interview that Tim Grover did with Patrick Bet-David, and he was talking about the book. You have to be willing to play at a different level. You have to be willing to do it for a long period of time, years, in order to get to that next level. Very few people are able to do that. All right, like I'm looking at the timer on this video, so I'm coming up onto 55 minutes, but it took me about 5, 10, maybe ish 15 minutes for me to really get into this flow state where I'm able to just keep talking, right, and just keep sharing gems with you guys, for you guys, because you have to understand that you need to be operating and playing at a different level in order to truly get to your goals, in order to truly become the man, the winner that you see yourself as, to get to the goals, to get the car, to get the house, the clothing, the physique, the mentality. Believe it or not, the mentality I have now was built over time. I wasn't born with this mentality. A part of it is from my father. He instilled it into me that, whatever you're doing, make sure you're doing it better than everybody else. Right? Whenever I was roofing with him, he would always say, like, don't pay attention to how they're doing it. Do it this way and make sure that it's better than them. My dad came from Haiti to the US, and he never had to struggle for a job because his skill level was always different. At every, he was in the same industry, which is, let's say construction and home repair and stuff like that. But he never had to struggle like some of the people that, let's say, were born here or that are at the same job, because his skill level was different, because he was always focused on mastery. He was always focused on doing it better than everybody else, right? Being more efficient than everybody else. And so guess what? The bosses are going to see that, right? The CEO of whatever company is going to see that, and they're going to say, oh, I need to keep this guy around. So what is it going to take to keep him around? Well, they're probably going to have to pay him more than everybody else. And when he gets paid more than everybody else, they're probably not going to complain, because they know they are not him. They're not able to do it like him, and they have to learn from him. And so it's one of those things where you need to truly understand what makes you different. Why are you different? What allows you to be different? How often are you studying yourself? How often are you studying your own mind? Studying your own level of, let's say, persistence. Why do you give up so quick? How can you stop giving up so quick? How can you start operating faster, stronger, harder, better, be more efficient? Be better, faster, stronger, more efficient, right? Like, as the saying goes, you absolutely must. You absolutely must operate at a different level. And guess what? Your ability to act and how fast you act is entirely going to determine that. So if you're still listening to this video, your ability to act and how fast you act will determine how fast the results come for you. Financially, mentally, physically. Mentally, financially, physically, however you want to say it. Right? Whatever you want to come first. And guess what? You're probably going to have to start with your mindset. Then you're probably going to get into your fitness. And then the income is probably going to start to come, because now you're going to start to implement those same things into your business, right? Because now you're probably studying the right people. You're probably learning from the right people. You're probably paying the right resources, coaches, mentors, blah, 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 to learn what you need to learn in order to get to that next level. Whatever career field you're in, whatever you're after, trust me, there's a $1 billion company in every industry for a reason. And a lot of times it's because they were willing to do it longer than anybody else, right? They were willing to stay in that industry longer than anybody else, but they were also making sure that they were not staying the same every single year. They made sure that they were growing every single year, evolving every single year, adapting to the new markets every single year, so that they can stay at the top of the competition, right? Because you always got to be on edge. There was a great audiobook that Patrick Bet-David recommended, and it's Only the Paranoid Survive, right? And it's a book that I have to listen to again, and it talks about you really need to always be paying attention to everything in your industry as often as you can, even if it's not just you. You need to get to a point where you're paying people to do that. You're paying research teams, right? You don't think these companies, these large-scale companies, billion-dollar companies, you don't think they have a team that's sole job is researching the competitors, looking at the up-and-coming competitors? Because just because you're a giant doesn't mean you're going to stay a giant forever, right? Like, what was it? David killed Goliath, right? So there's always the opportunity for a small company to come into the market and wipe you out, right? Like, look at when Netflix came and wiped out Blockbuster, right? Nobody expected that to happen, but it did, right? So it's about understanding, what is it going to take for you to get to the next level? Where are your competitors lacking? And you could even try to work with them and make a partnership, but they all don't want to do that. Like, it's listening to an interview between the owner of Reebok or the person who founded Reebok. Like, who's going to go and watch that interview? Not everybody. But if you're willing to look up who's the owner of Reebok and find any interviews of him and listening to it and watching it, you're going to learn something that most people don't know. Or the story of Adidas, right? Even though you're not in the sneaker industry or shoemaking industry, but you go and study their journey. Walmart, you go and study the guy who built Walmart. Those are massive companies. You study Jeff Bezos. Everything you could find on Jeff Bezos, you just dissect it and you learn it and you study it. Guess what? You're going to learn things that very few people understand. And if you're truly paying attention to what they're saying, you'll discover the underlying lessons, the underlying methods that they probably themselves don't realize, right? Like, your ability to just play the game for longer hours than everybody else is why you get ahead. Is why you win. Is why you win. It's why you win. It's why you win. It's why you win. Man, like, this video went for an hour, and I could probably keep talking. And, you know, some of you might not have even made it to this far into the video. But understand that you need to adopt this mindset, doing whatever it takes to win, right? Don't ponder on decisions or for weeks and, you know, fall into an analysis paralysis, right? Don't fall into that trap. And understand that this whole process is supposed to be painful, but it just has to work once, right? No one will ever truly see how hard you work, but they will see how good you get. They will. Even if it takes another 5 years, another 10 years, 15 years, as long as you're stubborn about your goals, you're going to get there. And if you're malleable to change when you need to adapt when you need to, you're gonna get there. You're gonna win regardless. The goal is to win and get rich regardless. That's the goal, to win and get rich regardless. Mentally, physically, financially, right? There is no room for a lack of energy at all in anything that you're trying to build. I'm tired today. I'm sad today. That doesn't matter. Work needs to get done. You have work to do, right? And so it's about doing it and making sure that you're doing it better than everybody else in your industry and doing it better than everybody else around you. Think about some of these guys that are selling info products that are making millions, yet they have a terrible product or a product that's not even that good. It's just okay. But their marketing is well done. So imagine you have really great marketing and you have an amazing product. You don't think you're going to blow that guy out of the water and you just go leaps and bounds, even if it takes you an extra year to make sure that your product is 10 times better than theirs. It's still better. So now a year later, your company starts picking up faster than theirs because people start comparing yours to his or to hers, right? Very few people understand that these are the things you need to do. You need to be willing to sacrifice an extra 6 months to a year to ensure that your stuff works better than theirs, gets better results than theirs, regardless of the industry that you're in. Your team is able to work faster than their team, right? Let's say plumbing, for example. Your plumbing team looks sharper, talks different, works different, and does a better job. Even though your prices are more, they're going to go to you, not because you're the cheapest, not because you're the most expensive, but because they know that when they pay you and you have proof of results, you're going to do a better job. You're going to do a faster job. You're going to make sure that they never need another plumber. Some people make sure that they always need plumbers so that they're always getting phone calls, probably, right? I know there are companies that make sure that whatever they're doing, even mechanics, some of them probably do this, and some of them have done it, I'm sure. They'll fix your car, but they'll break something else, or they'll mess with something else so that you have to keep coming back. You ever wonder why you always have to go to the shop? Is it because your mechanic is doing a good job and you just have a bad car? Or are they sabotaging you so that you have to keep coming back? You got to think about these things. Or is it that you need to just buy a better car, or buy a more expensive car, or buy a more reliable car, right? A lot of things come into play, right? Even though I've deviated from a little bit of the main topic, like the guys at the top, they are cheating, but it's not in the way you think. They're just operating at a completely different level because they understand that they need to truly, truly master themselves, and they're willing to do whatever it takes at every given moment to ensure that they get to their goal, to ensure that their mission, their vision, their dream comes true. Because guess what? They don't care about you losing. They care about winning. Winning is everything. You look at Kobe, you look at Jordan. Winning is everything. Winning is absolutely everything. Messi and Ronaldo, you think they hate, they don't get angry at any time they lose? A winner absolutely hates losing more than they love winning. That's something I'll always remember from JT Fox. Winners absolutely hate losing. Way more, probably 10, 100 times more than they love winning. But you have to get up and do whatever it takes. You have to get up and do it every day. You have to get up and do it multiple times per day. Practice multiple hours a day, multiple times per day. All right? Like, I think they had to instill a rule in the NFL that teams weren't allowed to practice an extra amount of time or something like that, because they realized that this one team was just doing way more than the other team. Like, a lot of times, it's just about volume. How much more are you willing to do than your opponents? How much more are you willing to spend than your opponents? How much more content are you willing to put out there than your opponents so that you get ahead, so that you stay ahead? You think Mr. Beast isn't the same way? You don't think Mr. Beast is ensuring that every single little detail of his videos are doing and performing way better than everybody else on the platform? Every competitor in his niche industry space? Come on now. You don't just get to the top without being crazy analytical. You don't just get to the top by luck because you made some lucky content. You don't think a lot of these, I'm not going to say every creator, right? Like, some people might be against me for this, but even female creators, right? Female content creators, we understand, like, it's going to be easier for them to just grow a following faster, right? That's not to say that they don't put in the work. But let's be honest. There's a lot of guys out there that are just willing to follow somebody because it's a girl, right? They're just willing to subscribe because it's a girl. Fair game, right? But that doesn't matter, because there's no other, think about this. You can't think of another Mr. Beast. You can't think of another, let's just a content creator space, right? It's Mr. Beast. He is technically ruling content right now. You can't think of another The Rock, right? He's just playing the game at a different level. He has so many different companies, so many different brands. Now, they may not all be 100% there, but guess what? Because he's The Rock, he's winning. You look at Elon Musk. You can't think of another Elon Musk. Why is he winning? Because he's doing something different. He understood that he had to get really good at building effective teams. He may not say it, he may not talk about it, but Elon mastered to a level. He's probably not 100% better, but he mastered a certain level of just building effective teams that are able to get the task done. Think about Twitter. He scaled the team down to like 20 people or something like that, and they were performing better than when they had all the employees that they had. Why? Because he understands how to be effective, how to be efficient, how to actually win. Like, you need to be that psycho about winning. Like, you need to be an absolute psycho about winning, right? There are times where you're going to question, like, why am I always stressing so much about this specific detail, right? It's kind of like being a perfectionist almost, right? You're analyzing every video, how you speak, how you look, how you talk, how you dress, all that stuff. It's like my client right now. In his podcast, he makes sure that his podcast looks cleaner than other people's. He's like, why is the podcast that's not looking as good as mine, why do they get more views? Well, I had to explain, like, look, it's just a topic that's going to come into the field, right? But over time, you're still going to win, because the way you monetize is going to be way more effective. Because if this person over here is just focused on entertainment, while you're able to deliver entertainment plus education, you win. And you also are able to get celebrities, and they're not, you win, right? It's about winning regardless. It's not about the short-term goals, the short-term views, the short-term likes and subscribers. It's about what's going to happen 5 years from now when you've been uploading content for 5 years. What's going to happen 10 years from now when you've been uploading content for 10 years. What about the people like the movie actors that have been producing content for over 20 years? That's why they're at the top. They've been in so many movies, good, bad, great, amazing, spectacular movies. That's why they're able to get presented roles first, because they've been doing it for so long. They're not just another face. Or even if you're a triple threat, like look at Michael Jackson. When you can sing, act, and dance, you beat everybody else. And then if you're a perfectionist on top of that, you're gonna win. You're gonna be better. Think about this. A lot of people like to throw shade and hate on Michael Jackson, right? Like, you gotta realize this dude was an absolute world celebrity before social media. So no one can compare and compete. If Michael Jackson was still alive today, best believe he would be a way bigger celebrity than every person on social media right now. And the reason is he was able to do it without social media. He was able to sell out, I think, like a 500,000 plus stadium or something like that, event show, without social media in a completely different country. The artists today are not able to do those same things, especially without social media. Michael Jackson, Thriller, I think he spent $1 million. Not him, but they spent $1 million as a team company. They spent $1 million on filming Thriller back then. So that money is probably way more today because of inflation. Just to produce the movie with today you probably have AI and all that stuff that would probably make and you have all this technology that was able to make it better. But think about this type of stuff he would be producing now with the technology that's available now. So he was able to produce Thriller and some of his other music videos with higher budgets than anybody else in the industry, higher budgets than anybody else has ever heard of, because he was just playing the game at a different level. He wanted to make sure that his stuff is better than everybody else's, music-wise, acting-wise, music video-wise, right? Like, what are you doing to make sure that you're differentiating yourself from your opponents? Is it making sure that your content is at movie level? Look at Chris Williamson, his podcast. He just created a game changer that nobody else has ever seen in the podcast space. He has a whole, he has like a big screen that goes that's warped around his podcast studio setup, right? And before this screen, every podcast he did, there was a different mood, different lighting, different stuff. So every podcast, it looked like you were watching a movie if you were watching the podcast. And if you're listening to it, it's great sound. But if you're watching it on YouTube, you realize that the production value in his videos, it was like you're watching a movie interview. And now that he has his screen, look at my lips getting mad crusty. Now that he has the screen, he's able to change the production value by a ton. Because it looks like you're watching a movie while you're listening to the podcast because of the background, the way it's changing, the way the mood is set, right? And it's understanding that it takes doing something entirely different to get to the next level. It takes doing something entirely different to truly be different. You have to be a psycho, an absolute psycho, and willing to do whatever it takes to get ahead, to grow faster, to grow stronger, to build a stronger brand, a stronger reputation. It takes a ton to get to the next level. It takes a lot. It takes so much, so much to get to the next level. But if you're willing to do it, you will. If you have the guts to do it, you will. If you're truly stubborn about getting to the next level and you're willing to do whatever it takes to get to the next level, you will. Because it's not about winning once. It's about being a winner amongst the winners, right? That's what it's about. And you're never truly done. The goal, you never truly attain, because once you achieve the goal, if you're bold enough, you set a bigger one, you set a bigger target so that you can keep going, keep playing the game, and keep winning for a long period of time, because that's what matters, right? You must play the game until you become a winner amongst winners. And so, because that game is never achieved, you have to play the game until you die, right? You must play the game until you die. And so It's truly about becoming exceptional at everything that you do, making sure that you're exceptional, your team is exceptional, your team's team is exceptional, right? Because these companies are broken down in so many different teams and so many different structures that you personally can't pay attention to every little detail. But if you have an exceptional team under you, and they also have an exceptional team under them, and they also have an exceptional team under them, then your company is gonna thrive and win for years. That's why these bigger companies are able to just eat up the smaller ones, because they understand they have to be willing to do that. Walmart owned, I think they own the companies that they sell, like the products they sell. So they're able to charge much cheaper rates and wipe out the competition. Like Amazon's biggest competitor I think is Walmart, in terms of them being able to sell the same thing, right? I could be wrong, but the only thing that's keeping Walmart, Target, and those types of companies alive is because not everybody wants to buy online. Even me. Sometimes I don't want to wait for my order. It's probably why Amazon is willing to do, faster shipping. They're always developing faster shipping. But even then, I don't want to buy something, not like it, and return it. I'd rather go to the store, find what I want, buy it, and, leave. Try it on and leave. So it's one of those things that keeps them alive. But, maybe there's going to be a way for us to just try something on virtually to see if it's going to fit, to see how it's going to look. And now we can just order it right then and there, right? Technology is advancing so fast, right? So it's being willing to play the game at a different level and understanding that you have to do whatever it takes if you truly want to be exceptional. If you truly want to beat the competition and win regardless, win and do whatever it takes to win. Very few people have a heart for that. Very few people are willing to do that. But if you are, you will get to the next level. You will win. You will thrive. You will win regardless. Because again, it's about getting rich for sure. It's about getting rich regardless. That's the goal. It's not just about doing it once. It's the ability to do it over and over and over and never, ever dropping from that level. You're able to do it for years on end. That's what it's about. And so you must play the game until you win. Truly become exceptional mentally, physically, and financially. That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you guys on the next one.